Right, I've been asked to do a little, 30 minutes on what is it to actually feel really good about something. And I mean something about you, what you do, something that, you see, I describe it like the archetypal coaching that you kind of get is that whatever you want to do, you can do it to, if you work hard at it, if you keep pushing and striving, and I do believe that you can actually get to a certain level of competence by doing it that way. So that's the logical brain actually saying, that whatever the mind can conceive, it can achieve. It's all fantastic stuff. But just at this present time, on the TV is Wimbledon. Wimbledon in a magic, yeah, we can start seeing where we're going. And just this evening, I was watching a number of players who, one of them is number 8 in the world, another one, is very highly ranked, and and these people are really, really, probably earning very, very nicely, and they're achieving and they're getting there. But then on the court came Roger Federer. And you just look at the man, and they said he is just an absolute phenomenon. Not just because he is 37, and in the world of, I suppose in the world of football as well, and most of the elite sports, if you can actually get to your mid-30s playing at that kind of level, that's an amazing feat. So he's 37, still playing, number 3 I think he is in the world. It's quite incredible, I think. But he's just, whenever you see him, so you can see, you watch other people, and you can tell they're very good. You know that if you play them yourself, they would just obliterate you, absolutely obliterate you. But there's a different dimension when you have somebody who is basically a god in what they're doing. And I actually see Roger Federer as being that. And so what is it? What is it about him? It's just that he is absolutely present in what he's doing. You can tell, but he's an artist. It doesn't look hard work. It doesn't look contrived. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to win everything, because he loses. If he won everything, he wouldn't be number 3, he'd be number 1. But it's actually that when you see somebody playing with such elegance, it was quite interesting the other day as well. I was watching David Beckham, and he played in this. I don't know why I'm talking sport. I had no idea what I was going to talk about, but I am talking sport for a little while. A very male thing. But my point is that I watched him play, and he's now, I think, 43. And I kind of never really got David Beckham. I do tell stories about him. So for instance, he always said, when they said at school, what do you want to do? And he said, I'm going to be a professional footballer. And you get the age-old thing, yes, but what do you want to do really? He said, no, I'm going to be a professional footballer. And he had his mind, and he had his clarity, and I can go off for hours actually talking about people like David Beckham, people like Roger Federer, who are just gods in where they are, because they're actually present. And I watched David Beckham Now, having been out of the game, I don't know, 5, 6 years, whatever it was. And he was actually kicking that football. And it was just like, you've still got it. You know, you just look at him and you think, you can still play. And he still actually stroked the ball in the same way as he did before. He had his uniqueness. Just like Roger Federer has a uniqueness. And I actually think that when you're seeing, there was another footballer who I'll mention, which is Pirlo, an Italian guy. And he was never the quickest. But his way of playing, his start, it was just like stunning. And when you see anybody who is actually doing what you'd call their dharma, what they're here to do, it is just majestic. You know, if we go back, 1984, I think, Torval and Dean. Very, very unusual to actually get a couple where there was just a magic and a magnetism about them. And it's quite often expressed in the world of sport then, isn't it? And then you've got the world of art. And you've got, if you like, the music world. You know, he had so many flaws, didn't he, George Michael? But sometimes when you just listen to him, it was just like silk. You know, Whitney Houston had that as well. Just certain pinnacles. So what about, I'm talking about very iconic people here, aren't I? You know, these are the real special ones. So what about the rest of us? Well, that's what I mean when we have to go off in search of our greatness. And now, can all of us be a Roger Federer, a David Beckham, Whitney Houston and whatever? No, perhaps not. But to never have gone and seen and felt that kind of level of satisfaction is cruel to ourselves. So, and you know, sometimes out of adversity comes those things. So I remember for me, when I split up with my wife, so there we are, been together for years and years and years and years and been through so many different things. And then all of a sudden, one day, someone says to you, I don't love you the way like I did. Okay, you know, you've been together. She was 15, I was 16. Long, long time we were together. All of a sudden, you've got to find a whole new world, a whole new life out there. What do I do? You know, because my world was very much with her, within that world. What do you do? Where do you? So one of the things I decided to do was dance. And when I first went along, I had a very poor, if you like, self-concept. So I was actually having to learn, if you like, through a process where at school, for instance, I was a terrible learner. Yeah, I just didn't get it, or I was just so pushed to the side that I just, you know, didn't get anything. Everything was a difficulty. But for some reason, I persevered with this dancing. And it truly is one of my joys. And always sounds very big-headed and whatever, but I get people lining up to dance with me. And it's not because I know extraordinary moves, you know, but what I do, I just connect with the music, and I have a rhythm that you can feel. And it truly is something of bliss to me. And writing is another one that I've refound. So I can't ever really remember as a kid dancing, but I certainly can remember as a kid writing and feeling it was the only thing that I ever did anything any good. But because I couldn't spell and because I wasn't good at punctuation and whatever, I just got slaughtered with that. So rather than allow this animal inside, because it's very interesting that would anybody be able to describe? I don't even know what I do when I dance. Would anybody be able to describe it? Do I do extraordinary number of moves? No. But I do what I do from the inside. And when I watch people like Federer and Beckham, and they're doing things from the inside. They're not, it's something that is so indelibly them. When you watch an artist, you know, I always remember, and it's just so, you know, when your idols shock you, you know, and one of those people was Rolf Harris. I am so glad, and please never ever have, Mr. Attenborough, anything, because Rolf was such a, oh my goodness me, because as a kid I used to love him. I was never ever any good at painting or anything like that, but his style of being able to do these squiggles on, and then all of a sudden you'd see this thing morph in front of you. Exquisite skill, but so naturally gifted. So to go and find your magic now, and the trouble is you don't know where it is, because could I say, you know, when I stood on that dance floor the first couple of times, could I say, found it? No, not at all. It took me weeks and weeks and weeks. And there were weeks when I thought, I can't go anymore. I'm so embarrassed. I can't do this move. I can't do that. And then that. But I kept, for some reason, I kept going. You know, now I write all the time. I write journals and I write songs and poems, and I've got a couple of books out. And I'm currently writing another few children's books now. And it's like, when does this ever stop? Somebody said to me the other day, you're involved in so many different things. I don't feel I'm involved in anything. Very interesting, isn't it? The paradigms. You know, somebody else sees it and they actually go, hey, you're just involved in so many things. And I'm like, yeah, but you haven't seen my bank balance. I've got to be. I've got to try and sort something out. I've got to turn things around. But it's almost like when sometimes people get comfortable, let's say they get comfortable financially, and it's like, right, okay, you can feel life go, can't you? You know, and that's why, you know, it's very different to look at certain people and you think, hang on a second. These people are multi-millionaires. Let's take the Rolling Stones. I can remember when they were 40 and everybody going, well, you're going to give up now. Surely when they're 50. 60? 70? This is getting... But they love it. They love it. Mick Jagger, 75 years old, runs the equivalent of 8 miles a day. Tip-top fitness. He was a marathon runner. You see him, I mean, I've only ever seen him on stage once, but it was just amazing. He was 63 when I saw him, and he just never, ever, ever stopped. 2.5 hours on that stage, never stopped moving. And so what's all that about? See, the trouble is, when you're driven to get money, it sucks you. But then when you get past a point, you're actually not in what we call the survival mode. When we're in survival mode, we get pulled back. Yeah, you'd love to go dancing, wouldn't you? But you got pulled back to the line. Life is about an experience. Life is about finding out who the hell you are. Life is about big, tough decisions. Life is about realizing that when our loved ones go, it's just gone so fast. You know, my mum died recently, and she's one of the last things I said to her is, you know, she was really, really, really perturbed, and I said to her, you know, Mum, are you afraid of dying? And she said, no. She said, I'm not. I said, what is it then? And she said, I thought I'd have more time. I wonder how many people have actually laid there in those last few days and actually gone, I wish I had more time. Because if we put off trying to find our pieces of magic to a time when it's right, when will that right be? I love it. There was a girl, if I go right back to this tennis scenario, a young girl, she's 15 this year, and she's just come into, you know, lit up the world stage. Fantastic. And Roger Federer, they interviewed her because he's an advisor to her. Yeah, so when you think that the two of them are 22 years different, yeah, he's still such a young man at 37, but he's an advisor to her. And they were talking about what is, you know, I believe that a player at that age can only play 10 tournaments a year. They're trying to protect them and this, that and the other. And people were saying, yeah, and we need to make sure that the body develops and everything like that. But then you got this God. I listened to him and I thought, Roger, you understand from a different level. He understands from a different level. Because he said, so everybody else was saying, yeah, and you know, we got to let them develop and they got to get here and here and here and here. And he said he really understood that, and he wasn't saying that she should be playing more. He said he doesn't have a fixed idea. He said, but, and this was the bit, he said, but some people have their times at different times. You know, her time might be 15 to 20. Other people, 20 to 27. Other people, 30s, 40s, whatever. That might be their time. And you think about child actors or actresses, you know, and some of them morph into other things, but some of them don't. That was their time. And we never know when our time is going to be. Some people's time seems endless, going back to the Rolling Stones. You know, they started off in their 20s, there they are, mid-70s, and they're still going strong. Other people, they had a hit in 1974, and that was their time. So we do not know what our time is. A great time to spend is to go around a graveyard. You think, what is wrong with this person, you know? No, go around a graveyard and have a look at the ages on the tombs, on the headstones, whatever they're called. Go and have a look. And you'll get some people who have lived 85 years. Now, we don't know what they did in those 85 years, but they had the opportunity in 85 years to do it. And you get others, and I've experienced this, unfortunately, in my life with my son, who get 2.5 years, even less. Your time is so precious. And all I can say is that you have to spend a good bit of that time finding out what you're magic at. I don't mean, okay, I am meaning what you're magic at. Because if you can find what you're magic at, that is joy. That is pleasure. That is, oh my goodness me, you can't replace it. And when you do it, say hello and enjoy.